Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Swoosh Shoes Podcast, episode number 18. This is your host, Eric. We got Ernest and we got Armani all in the check in.
AKA Lakers are a mess.
Oh, we're gonna get it. We'll get
The
into that, but
Lakers stink.
oof, oof, down bad. We all down bad. So we are in March. So, which means that the college basketball regular season is coming to a conclusion, and conference tournaments are about to be underway next week. Well, and also some of the smaller conferences, their conference tournaments started already, and this is where teams they start to get prepared, start scrambling for late wins in March, April to see if they would be selected to the NCAA tournament, which will be coming up. The selection show will be coming up March 13th, which is in 2 weeks. Actually, next Sunday. So it's a lot of college basketball to get into the next couple of weeks. So we'll be we'll be talking about it much more in advance in the following in our next episode. Just want to tap in a little bit on what's going on. Last Saturday, you had a record 7 of the top 10 teams in the AP poll all lose last week. Just to show how wild this college basketball season has been. But besides the outcome, Gonzaga, who lost, were the teams that lost, the top ranked team, they lost at St. Mary's late Saturday night last week, but they're still ranked number one. Arizona, they moved up to number two in the polls. Um, and Duke, which happens to benefit from all those teams losing, they they climbed up into the polls at number four. And Auburn also lost last Saturday, but they had a couple wins during this week, so they're also in the top 10. So if you really look at it, what happened last Saturday, and also all year long, if you really follow the sport, um, I think it's to be a precursor to what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks, and especially during the NCAA tournament. I believe that there's going to be a whole lot of upsets and especially during the first round in NCAA tournaments. Also, I can see a couple of teams that are not in contention for getting at large bid for the NCAA tournaments go on their runs during the conference tournaments and win their conference tournaments and probably steal a couple of bids from teams that are quote unquote on the bubble, which means that they're on the 50-50 on the fence of getting in and not getting in. So it's going to be a real fluid situation for those teams that are like in the middle trying to get wins and trying to search for wins late in the season and also wins in the conference tournaments to like make sure they stockpile enough wins to see if they can get in or if they don't get in. So just watch out for that, especially during this time next week and then following week, going into Sunday selection show because best believe that you with this happening with the parity that's happening in college basketball, you're gonna see a lot of upsets happening, and it's going to really wreak havoc come Sunday because you're gonna have teams that are on the bubble who lose early in the conference tournaments really sweat it out for that week until that Sunday. So it's going to be real interesting to see how this plays out, and probably one of our favorite times of the year as a basketball fan. Been following the sport for forever. Um, Also, it's also a good time to start really looking to the draft and see what college players really start to enhance their profile for scouts to watch and for fans to watch and just to see what players what other players they start to keep your eye on because especially during this time of year you start to see which college player which college player who, how can I say it,
Just
who starts to rise up in the
right.
rankings in the
Just have a
draft
great tournament,
and
pretty
have a
much.
great tournament and then go into the combine to this and scouting and see, and also they might have couple of other players whose stock starts to drop. So it's a very, very fluid situation that happens every year in March.
I like
You hear
Shabazz Napier.
Shabazz Napier, especially.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you have like John Morant
hmm
from
Frank
Murray
Frank
State,
Frank the Tank.
Frank
He
Kaminsky.
had a really great
Yeah,
a good run with
mm-hmm.
Wisconsin,
Yep.
2015. I remember Cat had a good run um with Kentucky, and I believe his team made it to the Final Four that year, if
Yeah,
I
they
can
made it to the
remember.
Final Four. Yeah.
Yeah, so like a lot of the prospects who's kind of on the up and up right now, who's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like ready to take the next step. They had a great tournament. Then you find some sleepers who has a great tournament as well too. But also,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to chime in real quick. March Madness is a very, very big deal. Everybody makes their brackets and stuff like that. It's just also realistically it's a mental break from the NBA, man.
Mm-hmm.
If your team is doing tough and horrible right now, you ain't gotta sit there and just watch that team. Like you can watch other stuff, and Ernest and I can speak to this. We all can speak to this right now. We all just down bad right now. So we gonna be because like I just been emotionally drained as far as like this part of the NBA season. So I just can't wait for March Madness to start, man, just for some excitement.
And especially we're in the dog days of the NBA season, especially in March. So will be like a refresher for us to see upsets brewing, close games, some games that make no sense. Happens every single year. So we're looking much more forward to it.
All I'm gonna just say is bet at your own risk for March Madness.
Exactly. Like
At your own risk.
bet at your own risk. Um, yeah, man. Like don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like, yeah, don't do that because oof, you come out, you think one team's gonna make it, and then they lose in the first round, and that's it. Your bracket's done. So just be careful. Just enjoy it. You know, you have as many brackets to fill out as possible because you're gonna need them. You're gonna need a whole lot of paper, a whole lot of erasers, a whole lot of pens. Because stay up, stay up for this. Don't want to miss this. So as we segue from the college ranks to the pros, it's been another rough week for the Los Angeles Lakers.
By you just saying that reminds me of a GTA San Andreas CJ. Oh man, here we
Like,
go again.
oh,
Like
here we go again.
like when the viewers tune in and they watching the clips on Instagram, they just know what we gonna talk about because it's been a reoccurring thing for the entire season. Ernest is killing me right now, but it's the same thing, man.
So,
You know, I'm 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 content at this point to come to the realization of we know who this team is. We know who this we've turned so many damn corners. We're running into ourselves, um, and it's just becoming more and more numb, so to speak. We're on a 3-game losing streak, and guess what? I don't care. It doesn't affect me. I'm already looking to the next season. I'm not even worried about what's happening this year. It doesn't make any sense. It's a wash. The fact that this franchise has punted a year 19 LeBron James playing at a level like this is blasphemous. It is ridiculous. It is asinine. It is a disgrace. It is it is implicable. It is ridiculous. And I understand everyone has culpability in this whole situation. No one's absolved from the roster construction and how this team is being operated and optimized. But at some point, there's got to be a will to do. There's got to be a will to not quit. There's got to be a will to want better. And a part of me, as I watch this team coming out of All Star break, looks like they're just ready to pack it up for the season. You're down 30 to the Pelicans.
And you arguing with the fans.
Right. And it's embarrassing. It just sucks, man, because at the
Oh,
end of the day, like,
you can't boo the Lakers. Like, they getting trashed by 30 to the Pelicans. What do
So
you
all
mean?
right, so let me just clear that
We
up real
booed
quick
Kobe.
because I seen Draymond Green saying that we're spoiled brats and stuff like that. Okay, I get that. We won 17 championships, all that blah blah blah. We get stars, we attract big name free agents and stuff like that.
but
But
he
the thing
he hold
is,
on, hold on. He wasn't even talking about like booing the Lakers. He was referring to
To
we can't boo
LeBron.
LeBron because he
LeBron.
brought us a championship 2 years ago.
right, but
But
it's
if
just
he's
it's
not
it's an
playing well,
effort.
then what are you supposed to do? Accept that?
The dude,
No.
him and Westbrook had like what combined 13 turnovers in the first half or some shit like that.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's just like
it was a turnover
it's
fest. Like you expect me to
yeah,
like, come on, man.
like come on. At the end of the day, like listen, we can take losing as fans. We can take losing. Like the worst things in games happen to the Lakers, right? Like sometimes we get the worst luck, right? But on the flip side to that, like we also, have our way, right? We're getting stars and we're always, in relevancy. But at the same time, bro, like we expect a certain type of level of effort and some careness. Like they didn't care at all. Like they came out like they was like, we didn't want to be here tonight, but we just have to be here. So we're just gonna do what we got to do to get through the game. And that's exactly how they played, and that's exactly why the score was the way it was. And it's just I'm just hopeful from, and I hear a lot of things, that may happen in the off season, and we'll see. You know, but it just sucks, man, and it took this on to kind of realize, what this was, and then on top of that, there has to be a direction from the front office. Like you can't have a coach who knows his job is on the line and who knows it's probably not going to be kept, and like you guys, and you guys have been in certain situations, and uh, where it comes to if you know that your leadership has the lack of confidence in you, or they or you feel as if they want to get rid of you, or they give you a certain deadline of hey, we don't want you past this time, or even when you put in your 2 weeks, right, to go to another job, you don't care. So it seems as if sometimes Frank doesn't care, because if you look at the lineups that he puts out, it is ridiculous to have, like, the other night against the Mavericks. There's no reason why after we go on the run, you take out Austin Reeves and Stanley Johnson, and they don't see the floor in the fourth quarter. Like that
No,
was insane.
not even a minute on the floor in the fourth quarter. This is
Not
like
even
Tom
a minute.
Thibodeau. It's like Tom Thibodeau with Taj Gibson.
It doesn't make sense to me, and it's just like, like the roster lineups, the construction of that, Ariza is DNP, or he's playing, and he's not been good. Uh, Vogel has this infatuation with Avery Bradley, because as soon as he comes back from injury, he's going to be getting minutes, and that doesn't make any sense. And it's just like you constantly play THT, LeBron, and Russell together. They're all the same type of skill set of a player.
Wait,
Like,
but no need to fear. Kendrick Nunn is coming back.
yeah, next year. Like, so
Oh man, dude had one good preseason game and it's been MIA ever since.
yeah, and that's the reason why they got DJ Augustine. That tells me he ain't coming back this season. So, it's just a mess. It's embarrassing. I've gone to the point where it's just like whatever, and not have any emotion towards the game anymore, and setting a certain level of expectation, because it's embarrassing at this point, and I value my mental health over everything. So yeah, Lakers are a mess, man, and we just gotta. There's no, for me, I don't think there's any light in the tunnel this year. I don't think we go into the play-in, and then all of a sudden in the first round we beat the Phoenix Suns, or the Warriors, or the Grizzlies, and go to the second round, and then we're in the finals all of a sudden. That Listen, if LeBron can figure out how to do that, he goes on as the GOAT with this roster. I'm sorry, like he is the GOAT if he takes this team to the finals. Not even win a championship. He takes his team to the finals. He is the GOAT. Okay, so I just it's just upsetting. And considering what happened last year, and you look at that team, it's like I would rather have last year's team. We just were injured. You could make a case the Lakers could have made the finals last year. We're up 2-1. We were about to go up 3-1. But right before halftime, we were up big against the Suns. AD goes down, we lose the game, and that's where everything starts to snowball. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you really look at that landscape, we should have beaten the Suns in the first round, and then if we look at the rest of the West that happened last year, I assume we beat Denver, and I definitely assume we beat the Clippers without Kawhi and Paul George. So and then we're back in the finals, and it's Giannis versus LeBron, and we'll see what happens. But we could have made the finals 2 years in a row or for a short season. That's so like for me to come into this year having that expectation and that like asterisk in my mind, like okay, like we're a good team, and I felt like we've gotten better. It was definitely a disappointment. So enough of my rant, though.
So, okay, so I got so Ernest and Amani, I want to ask you both a question for this year. Would you rather have the Lakers not make the playoffs not make the play-in this year, or get into the play-in? Because as far as the draft, we have no lottery picks this year.
Nah, we
We have
got to make
no,
the play-in. We have to
yeah,
get in the playoffs. Like you
because
can't tank. There's no reason to, because you don't own any picks or nothing. So the point of you're just losing to lose. So the best thing they can do is just try to just say, you know what, strap up and let's stick together and let's battle this thing out and figure it out and play to the best of our ability. I can guarantee you, I would say 30% of the games that the Lakers have lost are just strictly due to effort and
yeah,
just lineup construction as far as lineups
mhm.
and how Frank Vogel is optimizing them. Like legit. So it's on both conundrums. It's on Frank Vogel, but it's also on the players too. You guys are veterans. I don't want to hear you don't like the coach or whatever. Like you guys are veterans. Win the games you're supposed to win. Simple as that.
I'm gonna just say, just jump in real quick, that this team is just really lucky that there is a such thing called the play-in. Um, we all can agree, and we all discussed this at the beginning of the season, that the Western Conference, well, excuse me, that the Eastern Conference was the beast conference, the best conference. That the Western Conference took a really big step back from where they used to be due to injuries. You got Jamal Murray missing for the Denver Nuggets, Kawhi and PG missing for the Clippers.
I don't know if
Um,
you, well, not to interrupt you, but they're saying that Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. might be back by the
might
playoffs.
be coming back, yeah. But for
Yeah,
majority of the season, they've been
yeah.
out.
The majority of the season, they've been
Right?
out.
Right. So I'm just sitting there. I was just telling one of my boys this yesterday. In 2010, the Oklahoma City Thunder made the playoffs as an eighth seed and won 50 games. Like that, when you really think about it, that's really crazy that we have something called the play-in that can either save or break teams. And I remember last year, I remember they asked LeBron, how do you feel about the play-in? And he was like, oh, he was on board with the idea. But when the realization came into play, when reality started to check in, and we realized that it was down to the stretch, and we was a seventh seed, and we got to play in the playing game, he was like, "Oh, this is dumb." Blah, blah. So players, throughout the season, they voiced their opinions on how they felt about the play-in. But right now, like this game, either make or break us. Because as far as I'm concerned, we can't beat no team on a given night. You even making a parlay is hard, man. Making a parlay is hard, man. You got your money line going on and stuff like that. Like you got to sit there and second guess if you want to bet on the Lakers, man. I just try to stay away from all of that. It's hard to bet on Russell Westbrook. You don't know what you're gonna get from that guy. But I'm just saying, like, if we was to get into a play-in situation, like I really don't know. Obviously I hope for the best. Obviously I want to make the play-in. Obviously I want to make the playoffs, like, and I just feel there's something really, like, something tells me that we can turn it around. Like there's gonna be a day. There's gonna be a day, but then we get blown out by 30. I know Ernest looking at me crazy right now, but we mess around and get blown out by 30 against the Pelicans. It's just like a pretty much like you said, we just turn the quarters and run into each other. But it's like please. So if you ask me, man, for the rest of the regular season, we play the Warriors on Saturday. As a matter of fact, we play in the Clippers right now. I know there's no such thing as moral victories, and I hate that. I hate that term. But please get a W against the Clippers, get a W against the Suns, and get a W against the Warriors. That's all I ask for the rest of the season.
Good luck.
Hey
Good
man,
luck.
it's
Good luck.
I appreciate the optimism, but I'm here to tell you right now, brother. save your mental health because it ain't happening. The Lakers will be losing to the Warriors on Saturday. We will be losing to the Suns next week. We'll be losing to any playoff team that we encounter because it's one and one reason only. We don't have our second best player. If you look at the way the team's been playing, they're devoid of another guy who can just get a bucket because it's clearly Russell Westbrook has lost a step. And it's not Russell Westbrook's fault either. I think a little bit is obviously he definitely owns some of this, but also I just think the roster maker he's just not a fit, man. He's just not a fit. It's not a fit. So just go for the ride, man, and don't expect anything. That's how you avoid disappointment. You know, it works for me. So tonight against the Clippers, it's just another basketball game I'm watching tonight. And if they win, hooray! If they lose, it's expected. So it is what it is.
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Who would have thought?
It is what it is.
A LeBron James team, albeit his 19th season, averaging damn near 30 points. Former MVP, who was in the MVP conversation last year, and we could say the beginning of this year was the one of the front runners for MVP. Now they just playing out the string, and it's gonna be a lot of questions this offseason for the Lakers. So it's gonna be real interesting to see where they go because I don't. Oh,
See,
they're
before,
really stuck. They're
and
really stuck.
I don't want to keep harping on the Lakers because we got to move on. But and I'll lastly say this: the Lakers have a pathway to get better. They're gonna have 2 first round picks and about 60 something million in cap room. Um, so it's not the end all. Like there's a path for the Lakers to be right back on top next year because there's gonna be and people have to understand. Like I hate this sentiment where like who no one wants to take Russ like that's no one wants him like that's literally cap because at the end of the day you have franchises who one don't care about winning. A2 need to try to save and get out the luxury tax. A3 they just need to absorb some salary so they can get off long-term deals and at least fill fans in the seats. We all know Russell Westbrook can do that. So
Ain't nobody coming to see Russ shoot backboard jump shots, man. Ain't nobody doing that. Nobody's
listen,
trying to catch a souvenir basketball from Russ from a Russell Westbrook tournament.
I
Ain't
can
nobody
I
doing
can
that.
guarantee you, ask Wizards fans, they want Russ back.
All
I can
right,
guarantee you that.
take him back.
But I'm just saying, like this notion of like no one wants him or the Lakers don't have any assets and they can't get better next season because like Ramona Shelburne has said, oh well, I expect this same team to come back next year. Like stop, you know that's not happening. So at the end of the day, there will be changes.
Damian Lillard, where you at, bro? Where
And
you at?
and it sucks that LeBron is playing at an MVP type level, but he's not in consideration because the team sucks. So moving on in a second way, into since we're talking about MVP, give me your top 5 MVP right now. Who? Okay, let me say this: who would
Mm-hmm.
win your MVP right now, right? And then who would be the 4 runner-ups?
All right, so for my MVP, I got Joel Embiid. Number 2 would be Jokic. 3 would be DeRozan. Number 4 would be John Morant. And number 5 would be Devin Booker.
Even not him being out.
I th- oh that's yeah. I st- I you know
No,
what
that list is gonna be like all over the place.
I know. You know what? I still like him because his overall. I think his overall play during the season with Chris Paul has gotten him. The best record in the West, best record in the league. He should be there. But as far as my favorite, Joel Embiid.
Okay, Armani.
So you know what's crazy? The last time we had this conversation, like 2 weeks ago, right before All-Star break, I feel like it's changed like tremendously. So for winner, I got Joel as well. 2, I still have DeMar. Actually, yeah, I have DeMar. 3rd, I have Jokic. 4th, Ja, he's playing out of his mind right now. That Memphis Grizzlies is rolling with a lot of confidence right now. He dropped 52 the other night. Man, it's just a highlight reel.
It took an L
Um,
today though.
yeah, against Boston, right? Yeah.
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 And then fifth is tough. Fifth, I'd probably say CP, Chris Paul.
Wow, both of y'all are just
And
you just you just
I
forget
I hate the
where,
Suns, man.
where's the respect? All right, like where's the respect for Giannis? Jesus. Anywho,
Oh.
yeah. Oh, like come on. So
I did say that 2 weeks ago when we had this conversation. I had Giannis in it, but I feel like we came back from All-Star Weekend, everything changed. Like,
nah.
you know,
So the only thing that changed for me was John Morant moving up the totem pole. So for me, still got Joel Embiid, but like that kind of changes a little bit for me because now he has James Harden. Um, and again, I'm not going to discredit what he's done so far during the season, but to have James Harden now makes things significantly easier for him. I got I got John Morant at two, only because he's the only star on his team, and being able to now be in reach of the two seed in the West is very impressive. And on the tear he's been going on. So, and then number three would be DeMar DeRozan. For obvious reasons, keeping the Bulls afloat. He's been playing out his mind. And then number four, I have Giannis. Giannis. Look at the numbers. I don't have to like even spill those. And then number five, I got Nikola Jokic. It's John Morant is a close one for me. I think what ultimately happened, like if I had to pick today, it'll go to Joel Embiid. But in a few weeks, I could see if they take number two and they have a nice stronghold in number two, I think John Morant gets that.
Okay. Okay. But these races can fluctuate from now on to the end of the season. So we'll see. Once we'll see through the rest of the way through the season who um who really steps up and really puts their foot down in the MVP conversation because it's gonna be real interesting. So yeah,
Yo,
definitely look into that.
Lakers are down 5-0. These guys suck, man.
Oh Lord.
Yo, man.
So I don't know if we discussed this. We talked about this. What are your thoughts on the James Harden Joel Embiid combo?
Hey, so for one, it's a great fit. If James Harden plays the way he played when he first got to Brooklyn, which he's clearly doing now, um, I got them in the Eastern Conference Finals. The only thing that kind of bothers me a little bit, well, there's two things. One is giving up Drummond and Seth Curry. That was smart on the Nets' part because clearly now Joe Harris is done for the year. This helps out tremendously. I just felt like having Joe Harris along with Seth on the floor with Patty Mills is going to be crazy. Um, but shout out to Goodwin, man, all the way from Brazil. Shout out to the Brazil fam. Um, the Belize guys, you know what I'm saying? Pardon me, excuse me. Um, but the thing is, you got to understand, like, people got to stop saying this whole James Harden and Joel Embiid are next Kobe and Shaq. Like, we
Yeah,
got to
that's
stop
that's
that.
that's that's that's
They're not the next
that's
Kobe and
Kendrick
Shaq.
Perkins right there for you.
They're not the next Magic and Kareem. They're not any of that. Like, that's what's annoying for me. But I like the trade for both parties. Again, I think it makes the Nets better because it puts Ben Simmons in the exact spot that he needs to be. But we'll see. Again, James Harden has definitely shown issues of being clutch and showing up in big moments in the playoffs, and he's certainly going to have to show up this year. So we'll see, man. But I just feel like if Kyrie's back full time and Ben Simmons is in his defensive player of the year form, and KD is KD, the Nets are still a problem for everyone in the league. So, but we'll see. I just pump the brakes with the comparisons, guys. Like, let people be their own version of whatever it is, and let's celebrate that. We don't have to put any any expectations of that magnitude on people. Like Kobe and Shaq, bro, they won 3 straight titles and they went to the finals five, 4 times out of the 5 years. Like, come on, like, chill out, chill out, chill out.
First,
I'm a My bad. I'm gonna just jump in real quick. I feel
mhm.
like they just enjoy each other's company. They two goofballs. Especially when like we seen their first game. I believe James Harden's first game against the Timberwolves after All-Star break. Like they just playing around, during shoot around, like trying to get loose as most players does. But like it seemed like they just enjoy each other's company. But what's really going to come down to is like when things get tough, right? So with James Harden, he has a lot of issues, just like what Ernest said when it comes down to the clutch. I read something that Joel Embiid is probably the best who averages the most points like down the stretch or like in the clutch or something like that. But the thing is that from a center position, you have to give him the ball, right? It's not like he can't create his own. He can, but not from the perimeter, like in the post. So teams going to start to collapse on that. So James Harden, while he said they dribble at the top of the key and stuff like that, he has no issues of not showing up when the game is on the line. So we'll see. But they've been playing really, really well. They had good numbers, really, really great numbers in the past couple of games that they've been together. But yeah, that's the only issue that you could think of. Like when things get tough and like when things are not going right, right? And B constantly gets criticized in the media about not being dominant, stuff like that. Shaq constantly calls him out. He would say, "Oh well, I will be dominant," and then play mediocre for like a couple of games. But he's been on a tear this season, so hopefully, this Embiid that we know as of right now is the Embiid that we will know, you know, that will get the 76ers in the right direction. So they've been pretty good.
Well, these two have become real lethal in the pick and roll. That's how good this tandem has been so far. Albeit 2 of those 3 games against the Knicks. So okay, anyone can score against them.
Right, and
But
and that's another thing. Like everyone's overhyping because like they played the Timberwolves. Okay,
they're in the
they're
playing.
they're playing, and then they play the Knicks twice. It's like, all right, like can we actually see them play against like top tier teams in the East or even in the West to kind of see first what the bar is and where they at? Because yes, they look great, but anyone's gonna look great against a team that's struggling. You know what I'm saying? Like OKC looked great against the Knicks. I mean, oh yeah, Knicks and the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? Like it's we gotta let's pump the brakes. It looks good, but let's see them play like actual playoff competition.
Yeah, so because like we're not gonna get a full answer of Joel Embiid and James Harden tandem until the playoffs come around, when they got to play a 7 game series against the Raptors or one of those teams and really see how they mesh game in game out, possession. When the game slows down, when they're not going to be able to run and gun and go on fast breaks and shoot threes. Like they're gonna have to Harden and Joel Embiid is going to have to come up with the actual game plan to play in half court situations. And Doc Rivers. He's also on notice because coming off of last year's playoffs, there's pressure on him. There's been pressure on him because now you got these two, Embiid, Harden, and as y'all know, James Harden has not been good in the playoffs in the last couple of seasons. He has a long history of very subpar player performances. So it's up to him. It's up to Doc Rivers to make sure that they get into the right sets, get into the right plays, and just make sure that they're in the right spots, especially during the fourth quarters when it slows down. You're not going to be able to run and gun. You're going to have to be able to execute in the half court and see if they can make make enough plays in the half court to 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 win games in the playoffs. But I think the player that has benefited the most out of all this, Tyrese Maxey, because now he's off ball, he can just run and gun. He can speed. He can like go down the lane, speed, go off the ball. I mean, just you can like You can basically spot up on the corners, shoot, or if they're double teaming Harden, you can um I'm sorry, you can pass it out to Maxi, who's wide up on the corner, and get his 3 points. So now you got another dimension with Tyrese Maxey and his speed in the open court with James Harden. That's another factor that goes in. But also, Tobias Harris, he has to get out of his funk. If in order for the Sixers to really take advantage of this, and if they want to be contenders in the East, Tobias Harris, he has to step up. I need because last couple of games he's not been playing well. Last game he had 12, 15 points, but overall he has not been playing up to his par. So now I think the onus is on him to step up the game just to alleviate the pressure that's on Harden, Embiid, and also Tyrese Maxey. So if we get Tobias Harris going along with Harden, Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey, now you have something. But it's up to them, and especially up to Doc Rivers to take advantage of that and play and not have a flame out, especially in Philadelphia. Because if that happens again this year, I'm not sure if Doc Rivers survives.
Yeah, I think D'Antoni will be the coach next year. But about Tobias Harris, really quick before we move on. Uh, Tobias Harris is not going to be there next year.
Yeah,
So
they've been rumblings about him
yeah,
getting
it's been difficult for him to
moved.
fit in. It's been difficult for him to fit in because he's fitting out essentially. So like Philly's gonna go all in on Embiid, Harden, and Maxey, and Tobias is like not gonna fit in, and he's gonna be gone in the offseason. So yeah, he has to find a rhythm. Also, at the same time, he knows his time is limited um, in Philly. So he may not want to like put forth the effort to be like, I want to be a part of something that's great, but then like he knows he's getting shipped off in the offseason. So we'll see. We'll see. And we'll see what happens down the stretch. Again, as we stated earlier, we have college basketball around the corner. That's going to be really interesting to see. As the game of college basketball is more, I would say, well-rounded because you have less one and dones going to college, and then we got NBA playing right around the corner and the playoffs, and it's going to be an interesting stretch coming down here, in the next month. Um, yeah, man, it's going to be some exciting sports stuff to come.
And Tinkathon's on full watch. Yeah, we got Tinkathon on full watch. So I'm on there every night to see if other teams can win more games. I'm rooting for the Spurs. I'm rooting for the Blazers. I'm rooting for the Pelicans to win their games. I need the Knicks to be in the top 5.
So is RJ that guy?
Yes, he is. We need Jaden Ivey or Johnny Davis to pair him up with RJ Barrett and RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes.
They're trying to get 1 ton over there.
First of all, what the Knicks are probably going to do is none of those things. The Knicks are probably going to do is they're probably going to try to take those picks and
trade for who?
Zion Williamson. They're going to go
1
after
ton.
Zion.
1
ton
Williamson.
They're going to go after Zion. I'm telling you, they're going to go after Zion.
Yeah. Listen, I believe that wholeheartedly because here's why. You mean to tell me that you got RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish, both on the same Knicks team?
That's like the Knicks Randy Rose from 2019.
Yeah. Also, the fact that Zion is his health his foot is starting to heal a little bit. I think if he plays 1 minute this year and shows at least a little something, and on top of that, he's coming up on his 4th year, so he's eligible for an extension, a rookie extension. Now, does he sign the extension or does he decline it? And also, you hear rumblings about him not having a great relationship with David Griffin and doesn't want to be there. His family also saying that he doesn't want to be there. So there's a lot of smoke coming out of New Orleans.
Man, the city threw a parade.
And also they do a Mardi Gras. And a couple days ago, they had a Mardi Gras. and then they had a little mural of Zion Williamson and it's saying 1 ton. Now, if that doesn't scream for Zion to get out of New Orleans, then I don't know. I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah, it'll happen. It'll
Yeah, I
happen.
think it's gonna happen. I think they're gonna right the wrongs of what happened in 2019 during the 2019 draft because they knew that they slipped up. They Adam Silver, Mark Tatum, they knew they slipped up when the Knicks got the third pick and he saw the Grizzlies who won 33 games and the Pelicans who also won 33 games that season get the number one and number two pick. The Knicks
But it
when
was it was also it was
it was
also a,
also there's the odds were or even out. The
no, it's not
first
even that. It's not even that. It was more a win for the small market team because what happened that
yeah,
season or
because
right before the
yeah,
draft, Anthony Davis gets traded. So
from
it
the
was like,
Pelicans to the
oh,
Lakers.
right. So it made the trade a little bit more like, oh, okay. They just at least they got Zion. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh,
that
they
was the
because they
almost trade
basically
off.
even out.
Yeah.
It's basically even out.
Let's just say the Pelicans did get the number one seed, right? Like we're looking at this thing totally different. So you know, it is what it is.
It
You
is what
know,
it is. Yeah,
the Pelicans are a poverty franchise, and we know that, and they're going to
they should
stay
move
that
to
way.
Seattle, and they should move to Seattle. My
They
belief,
should.
they
They
should
should.
move to Seattle.
No, the Clippers should move to Seattle. But needless to say, um, anywho, as we conclude episode 18, guys, again, thank you so much for the continued support. Shout out to again my guy Goodwin Bell, listening all the way from Belize, Central America. That's love, man.
We
Thank you for the
appreciate
Thank
that.
you,
support.
appreciate it.
We want to have a lot more guests coming on soon, and it's going to get real interesting. Also, follow us on Twitter. We're going to start doing weekly Twitter Spaces, just to get people involved, and so we could just talk hoop. And you're going to have some troll guys in there, and it's unfiltered. So come on and celebrate and talk your stuff.
We had a first one last week or 2 weeks ago. Two
Yeah, it
weeks
was
ago,
two
right?
weeks ago. Yep.
Last week,
2 weeks
yeah,
ago, and
two
it was
weeks
really
ago.
good.
Mhm.
It was like a whole bunch of people showed
Yeah.
up, but it was a good conversation about basketball, about the Lakers and Knicks front office, where they at. You heard some good suggestions from knowledgeable Knicks fans, not the delusional ones. Thank you very much, and
Yeah,
also Laker fans. So
it was
so
some good
we all
stuff. Good
know,
stuff.
so we
Yeah.
all know where we follow the teams closely and not like the hot takes from ESPN or the other national publications, national TV pundits. So basically that we make sure that we give fans the opportunity to voice their opinions about the team and voice their opinions about what's happening around the league because you want to at least have well knowledgeable fans who know the sport and who knows what's going on in and out. And we get the feedback from us. We get the feedback from them, and you just want to continue that dialogue and that conversation.
And I know that we didn't get a chance to talk about should the Lakers trade LeBron to AD, but that's definitely going to be a topic that we're going to talk about in the future space. You don't have to be a Lakers fan, don't have to be a Knicks fan to talk about that on that subject. You just got to be a hoop fan. So all opinions matter. All opinions matter. So please, thank you for supporting the show.
Yes,
Word.
definitely.
And until next time, we're gonna holler at y'all. Enjoy the games. Come on with your hot takes and let's talk hoop. So
Yes,
until
So
sir.
next time, guys,
we
be
got
safe.
college basketball heating up, conference tournaments, the NCAA tournament, the selection show is right around the corner. So be prepared. Be prepared.
And on that note, peace and love to you guys, and keep hoop alive.
Yep.